Hey everybody, Curriculum and Conversation is back with an electrifying conversation that you won't want to miss. This time, we're talking about breaking barriers in education and the power of Black student achievement. Real conversations, real impact.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Yeah. First, clap it up. Yeah, clap it up for yourselves. Y'all look amazing in the building. First of all, thank everybody for coming out. As you guys know, we're Equation to Success, and this is School Turf. See my amazing team kind of spread out all over the building. We have some also that are here. Namdi, who is our project manager, IT, he's in Texas. So if he's watching, what's up, Namdi? So we just have an amazing team, and we're always focused on just revolutionizing education and making education great for Black children and all children. But we center Black children. We unapologetically do that. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us today. I gotta make an announcement, otherwise Hasmi, my VP of Operation, is going to kill me. But I do wanna say we are super excited. Next month, we will be having our School Turf Learning Lab hitting the internet. And so we'll have an online course module that you can teach, that we will be showcasing just how to do math in a different conceptual way so that our children understand it. As you guys know, there's a math crisis across this nation. And it is important. I got some math geniuses on my team. And so we've worked very hard to construct curriculum that is going to benefit our children. And so make sure you more word will get out. I'm sure you guys are on the email list, eBlast, IG, check it out. When it drops, you'll be the first one to know. And we got some other cool stuff happening. We are in development for podcasts. It's just a lot of great stuff happening. We're gonna be expanding to Texas. So let's just listen. We've got so many amazing things happening. But tonight, oh my God, tonight, I am super happy to have an amazing, I will say this, Norma, if it's okay. First of all, my friend. Second of all, just an educational giant. As long as I have known her, and even before I've known her, she's been doing incredible, amazing work in the field of education, specifically making sure that all children, but specifically our Black children, get the best education possible so that they can reach their maximum potential, right? So I'm just gonna give you a little bit about who we have sitting here. This is royalty in the building, y'all. And this is also, right, a National Women's History Month, am I right, y'all? So we wanted to make sure that we represent amazing women in our ecosystem that we know. So let me just tell y'all a little bit about Dr. Norma Spencer. She is the new director for the Center of Black Student Excellence in Long Beach Unified School District. Now let me say how she got here. She has 28 years of experience in education. Dr. Norma Spencer is a transformative leader committed to advancing educational equity and Black student achievement. As the former administrator of the Black Student Achievement Plan for Los Angeles Unified School District, she oversaw a vast network of 195 schools, ain't that right, Deshalon? Implementing innovative strategies to enhance student outcomes and support systems. Now, as the newly appointed director of the Center of Black Student Excellence in Long Beach Unified School District, she is dedicated to ensuring that Black students receive a high quality, equitable, and y'all know that's a dangerous word, but we still saying it here tonight on IG Live, equitable and empowering education that prepares them for lifelong success. Dr. Spencer's leadership is rooted in advocacy, mentorship, and systemic change. She is passionate about elevating student support services, developing culturally responsive programming, and identifying visionary leaders who will champion academic achievement. She firmly believes that transformative change begins with strong, passionate educators and engaged communities, and she works tirelessly to build bridges between students, families, and key collaborators. Through her work, Norma fosters meaningful, lasting change by addressing the unique challenges Black students face. And may I add, historical challenges that they face. She leads tailored academic support initiatives, college and career readiness programs, leadership development opportunities, and robust community engagement efforts under her guidance. The Center of Black Student Excellence, and let me tell y'all, that's groundbreaking.
Yes.
Listen, we're gonna dig into it a little bit more. Is poised to expand access to vital resources, increase representation in education, and create pathways for Black student success. She's a catalyst for change and a guiding light in education. Norma is driven by the power of collaboration. Through her visionary leadership, she strives to uplift, empower, inspire the next generation of Black leaders, ensuring they are not only prepared for academic excellence, but also equipped to make a lasting impact on the future of education and beyond. Y'all clap it up. I'm gonna do you right, dog. You know I'm gonna do you right, homie. You know I'm gonna do you right, homie.
Yes.
Listen, I think the first question, our series when we have these conversations are called Curriculum and Conversation. And so I do want to start, Dr. Spencer, first acknowledging, how did you even get into the world of education?
Oh my gosh. So I decided that I was going to go to college, and then I came to Los Angeles for what was supposed to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into a summer turned into years. And so I found myself needing to find a job. And so I found a job at a Fortune 500 company right after college. And I was tutoring at my church, miserable about my job, tutoring at my church. And I had 6'5" basketball players, football players, 200 pounds. They were reading at a third grade level. And so I went to my pastor and I was distraught. I love school, always had loved school. And I said to my pastor, Pastor, what can I do to help? He said, you could become a teacher. I said, oh, teacher? No, I thought you meant like volunteer more hours at the church. And so I went home and I was newly married and I asked my husband how much he loved me.
Right.
And he said a lot. I said, great, because I'm about to make a career change. Everybody that stayed at that Fortune 500 company are now millionaires. But I went into education and I would not change that decision for the world, because the amount of children and families that I have impacted through love, there's no dollar amount that equates to that. So I was tutoring and I just could not, my heart could not be still until I decided, okay, give up the check. And I did. Go to become an educator. And I did. And when I became an educator, what I found was everybody wasn't in it for all the right reasons. So they put me in one of the toughest schools, a year-round school. You know, back in the 90s, the schools, I roved every 30 days. Me and my kids would pack it up, stack it up, when we moved to the left, move to the right. But what I found was when children know that you love them, they will show up for you.
Absolutely.
In ways that they won't for others. So in every role that I've had in education, I found myself always in love with the children. And it's usually the ones that nobody else wants to work with. They always gravitated towards me, with me. And so I've just found myself constantly in education looking for those opportunities to serve the children that other people might have forgotten.
Wow, Norma, I really didn't know we had that in common. Our stories are so similar because, like you, I started out working in a Fortune 500 company, and I mastered the job in a couple of months. And then great salary, company car,
all of
the
this.
whole things. But I just left. I remember having a conversation with my mom, and it was like, I'm just unfulfilled.
Yes.
Like I'm just doing and being, I'm not fulfilling.
Yes.
And I immediately looked up what I needed to do to become a teacher, and boom, there it is. I did not know we had that in common. That is so dope. In your bio, I also read that you were over a vast network of schools when you were administrator for the Black Student Achievement Plan program. First of all, tell me how that plan came to fruition, and then also, what is all the undertakings that I can imagine having that vast network of schools underneath your belt?
Yes.
What kind of mindset did you have to just approach that work with doing?
So this was back in 2020 when unfortunately we lost George Floyd, and the Black community was outraged. There were lots of incidents happening at schools. Our Black families, our communities showed up, and they went to the board, and they kept going to the board. And they said, you will listen, you will hear us, and you will make some adjustments. So out of that came the Black Student Achievement Initiative. A beautiful body of work, 64 pages, thoroughly cut with everything that you needed to have in it. The people, the support, the culturally responsive curriculum. And I had an opportunity to take on the leadership role as the administrator. So with that leadership role, I was able to hire 26 former principals. And the reason why that's important is because principals are a jack of all trades. They do it all, right? And so to have 26 principals, knowing that we're going into some of the toughest terrain, coming off the pandemic, every interview that I ended, when I offered every former principal an opportunity to come and work alongside me, I said, do you commit to doing everything that you can within your power to change the narrative for our Black students and their families? And listen, nobody said no. And I said, you got to understand, this is probably going to be the hardest thing. Being a principal is hard, but this work, going into a field where you know there might not be love for you, that was even harder. So we ventured out. We started building the plane. We're putting the pieces together as we're flying, right? Nobody's asking questions. We're just showing up and doing what needs to happen. If you've ever taken something that is one-dimensional, which was the plan, and put it into fruition, it's a lot of collaboration. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of missteps, a lot of misunderstandings. But I have to thank my team, because when I was missing steps, they were right there to pick me up. They were right there to tell me, we need to move to the left, we need to move to the right. Or if I'm going into this school, I need backup, I need support. And what ended up happening is we ended up with a beautiful team that were able to find experts within. So if you talk about 30 people, so there was myself, there were 2 directors and 26 former principals. Now we were tasked with finding teams to go to support the schools. So our BSAP Group 1 schools were the schools that had the highest population of Black students. And on those teams, there was a restorative justice teacher, a psychiatric social worker, an attendance counselor or a secondary counselor for high school, and a school climate advocate, which is kind of the person who supports the students in passing periods and before and after school. So the teams were charged with going out to cultivate those new positions, to make sure that they understood how their assignments were aligned to the kids, and the relationships that they were building, and how important it was that we build community and the kids know who we were and to know who to go to for which supports. So I will say that first year was rough. It was hard because we were doing something that had never been done before. And then let's add the layer of culturally responsive pedagogy and instruction. So we dug deep into Dr. Goldie Muhammad's Cultivating Genius work. And when I say deep, I say deep. We had all 110 schools. Every teacher had to attend a mandatory training with us. And we went into the schools and using that as our backbone, the way that we were going to start the conversation. And then we rolled back with the principals and said, we need to talk to you too. So we invited 110 principals to come once a month to professional development. And it was all day. There was no leaving at lunch. We're going to love on you. We're going to work with you. And we made it make sense. Because we said, what is the problem that you're having at your school? We all knew what the problems were. It's the same problems for the last 100 years. We wanted to know if they knew. And we wanted them to use their data. So what we were able to do over the course of the first year is establish a baseline. We had a plan, but we were able to actually start executing. Year 2, we refined it. We came in hot year 2, knowing what didn't work year 1, and there were lots of hiccups, lots of problems. We refined that practice. And so year 2, we went in knowing what we needed to finish the year doing. And so year 2, we introduced the survey. And the survey, my team was hot. I said, we're going to interview every student grades 3 through 12. They said, what? That's 15,000 students. I said, yep. The 30 of us are going to go out to the schools and we're going to divide the work. Look, that was the quietest meeting we in the team had.
You asking a lot, Norma. You asking a lot, man.
But look, at first everybody was hot. I know they walked out of there. You know how like usually at the end of a meeting people will say bye? Nobody said bye. They're just wrapped up their stuff. But as they got into the schools
Yes.
and they started talking to the babies, they started learning what the problems were. They started learning that our kids didn't even know who their advocate was. They didn't know who to go to on a campus. We learned so much organic information year 2 that we felt equipped to really drill down year 3 and come in even hotter, even more organized, even more stratified. So, I mean, when we say 195 schools, it sounds like a lot, but when you're doing something good with a group of schools, you just replicate what's working. And you have all the right people in the right spaces. I mean, the thing about it is, when you do this work, we don't have hours. We just do the work, right? So we were working 6, 7 days a week. You know, we were on calls, we were texting late at night. But I have to tell you that the collaboration that happened is kind of like, you know, when you go to college and the people that are in your dormitory or the people that are with you year 1 are the same people that are with you year 4. This group, this Black Student Achievement Group, we're lifetime family.
Absolutely.
Like, people will come and go, retire, move on. But what we built is just a monument that nobody will be able to replicate nor destroy.
Absolutely.
And that happens with all of us being on the same page, refining the practice. And again, I'm telling you, my team to this day will tell me, we ain't feeling this. But we'll refine it. We'll make it work. We'll pilot it. And if it doesn't work, we'll come back and refine it again. And we were okay with that. No perfection was required with this work.
And I think what you're saying is that I want people to really grab a hold to this because, you know, folks that don't know, you know, my research background is in ethnography.
Yes.
So I love to, all my research has been done. I've embedded myself in environments where I actually build incredible relationships with students because that's where you get to know the crux of what they're experiencing, how they're experiencing it, how they're feeling about schooling, right? And so with your team doing this, you know, here we really like to think deeply about curriculum that our students are that is being done to our children. And I say done because you know what I mean. It's curriculum is being encroached upon them. In your findings and in your conversations that you had with kids, what did they honestly say about curriculum that they were experiencing in school?
They were celebrating Black History Month. That's where it started, that's where it ended. And so we had to come in with a lens that said Black History Month is 365 days a year. And some of our students were hearing that for the first time. But along with working with principals and working with teachers, we also elevate our students' knowledge. We had to ask them those critical questions so that they knew how to come into the conversation. We asked this question: how many times a week do you see yourself represented in your curriculum? I'm gonna say it again. We asked our students, how many times a week do you see yourself reflected in the curriculum? Some of them said, well, Miss Spencer, when you come, my teacher put the books up in the chalk rail because she know you coming.
Real talk.
When our BSAP team members come, you know, we make sure that we got the bulletin boards, we got everything up. But once you leave, so does that instruction.
Absolutely.
So we had to dig deep, and we had to, as a team, we had to say, we need to offer the teachers more. If you don't feel comfortable teaching culturally responsive pedagogy and instruction, and you're not comfortable saying that, let us just offer it. So we started offering Saturday workshops for teachers. No judgment. You came in wherever you were, we elevated you, we gave you what you needed, and we sent you on your way. I was at a board meeting. One of the board presidents said, Ms. Spencer, how do you get 300 teachers to come on a Saturday for some professional development? I said, you tell them that they're gonna learn something that they've never learned before. And they're gonna learn from not just the person in the front, but from people from all over the district that have the same inquiries that they do, right? And so I'm telling you, people were like, she lying. She ain't got 300 people coming on Saturday. And people would pop up. I won't say names, but people were popping up. And I said, well, look, don't just pop up. Let's walk some classrooms. Let's see what's going on.
There you go.
And I want you to circle back and stay to the end because ain't nobody leaving early.
There you go.
And I remember my team was like, it's 12:30, Spencer, wrap it up. Why are you still talking to people? We got things to do. People wanted to stay all day. And when I tell you, when you do what you love, my team was there doing what they love. Those teachers came because they said, listen, I want to do better, but I don't know how. I mean, I can read, but sitting here listening, being able to have a conversation with other colleagues, looking at the curriculum, creating culturally responsive lessons
That part.
based on Dr. Muhammad's template, blueprint, and mindset of the 5 pursuits. So, I mean, we changed the culture. We changed the culture, and we collected the lessons because those were our receipts, right?
There you go.
You're getting paid, you're coming in. We want to see what you're working on. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we took those lessons and we said, how can we make them better?
Absolutely.
And how can we make them available to the rest of the folks that aren't able to be with us on Saturday?
And seen on my, now listen everybody, I had to make sure I got my LAUSD bag. I front loaded it. Y'all heard her experience. Listen, it's very important that as people move on and move forward, it's so important that you know the foundation and the roots that got them to where they are now proceeding. So now we're going to engage in some of this incredible new work that Norma is engaged in that I'm super excited about. I got to preview a little bit of it and I can't wait for the opening. But I do want to just ask you, you're getting ready to do with this center, you're getting ready to do some phenomenal things for students, for parents, for the community, for stakeholders. Tell me, how did the Center for Black Student Excellence come about, and what is your vision for impact?
So just like LA, 2020, George Floyd moved people differently. Long Beach decided to enhance what is called the equity policy.
Okay.
So 2020, they sat down and they looked at all the ways that policies were written that weren't equitable. And they said, we're gonna have to do better. Our community wants us to do better. We wanna do better, so let's do better. So they started to revise the equity plan, the policy. But the Black community was like, that's nice, but we want something for us. We need more. And so out of that came a group of parents, community members that were very boisterous that said, we want our own safe space to communicate. So we started offering listening sessions. And out of those listening sessions, 300 people came to the conversation. 200 hours of data were collected from those listening sessions. And out of those listening sessions came a need for a center where we could show up and be our authentic selves, where we can have our students be their authentic selves, and where we could continue to create opportunities. Now here's what I brought to the mix. So that, beautiful, love the idea. There was no plan. It was organic. It's Long Beach, we're liberatory, which means there's a lot of engagement with community. And the first thing they said was, don't bring no LAUSD stuff over here. And I said, I won't. I promise I won't. And they wanted to make sure that bringing me in, I would understand the historical perspective of all of the injustices that have happened in Long Beach, how our community, our students, our loved ones have been treated, and to bring that in, not from a deficit mindset, but where do we go from here?
Yes.
How do we keep our students safe? How do we tell our community that we're not only gonna do better, we're gonna show them how we're gonna do it? And so, y'all, this was the first time, when I say community, I don't mean just 1 or 2, I mean community. We don't move until the community says we're moving. And so that was very different for me. So coming in, knowing that we'd have the listening sessions, out of those listening sessions came 10 high leverage elements that we were gonna use as the backbone of the center. So if it's not the 10 elements, we're not discussing it. If it's not the 10 elements, we're not doing it. Y'all know I can't even paint my office a color that the community didn't agree was a community color, right?
Yes.
So when I tell you it's changed my whole perspective about engaging with community,
Yes.
I'm not doing for you.
Yes.
I'm doing it with you.
Yes.
And then let's go one step further. I have experts in my community that are coming into the center, and they are also going to stand alongside me and educate the youth educate the rest of the community. So this is an organic. People are like, well, it's so, I mean, like, what are we doing? And I said, we're doing all of it. But we're doing it with the community. So we're not making mistakes, because if we do, they're going to tell us. So at the time, we'd only talked about the center. And you know, I'm a visionary. So I said, okay, I'm sitting in the board building, which is what we call our headquarters. And in July, you know, I had run through the whole office. I had sat in everybody's office, introduced myself, got business cards. I didn't have any yet. But I told them, it's important that you know who I am. Because when the center opens, I need you to be an ally in this work. She's
That's
like,
right.
but I'm just a data person. We're all connected.
Absolutely.
This is all of our work.
Absolutely.
Educating Black youth is all of our business. So after I ran through the building, and look, everybody knew my name by the end of July. I said, I met with my team. My team came in August. We did all the historical. They gave me all the history, but something was missing. And so I went to my boss and I said, listen, there's something that's missing is the voice from the school sites. I said, this is great. This is good information, lots of reading, lots of history. But I feel like the piece that's missing is, where's the principal's voice? Where's the teacher's voice?
Yeah.
Where's the student's voice? So my boss was like, okay, so you're thinking about visiting a few schools? I said, just a few. 74 schools later.
That's it. That's it. That's how we do.
I set up 30-minute interviews with every principal in the district.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with that, I handed them a brochure and said, this is the vision for the center. I want to know how you're supporting the Black families. What support do you need from me? I opened the brochure. There's pictures. Pick who you want to come and support you. Tell me when your next Black parent meeting is. Tell me when your open house is. Tell me when you're doing anything that involves your Black families or your Black youth, and I will show up. And I don't think they thought I would. Look, I was the busiest sister in the town.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how large the group was or how small the group was. I was showing up with my Black Student Achievement shirt
That's
on.
it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yes.
But that's the school of thought you and I come from, right? And even one of the tenets in our school turf is we talk about in community.
Yes.
And so many times when we talk about Black student achievement, when we talk about Black students getting educated, it's always being done to
Yes.
our children,
Yes.
put on our
Yes.
kids, and never are we really having that deep conversation with them
Yes.
to really do that co-collaboration and
Yes.
co-creating
Yes.
that's so important and necessary in education. So talking about your center, what are some of the programs and resources that are going to be available to students, families, and the larger community?
So let me start with, because I'm a visual learner, so I'm visualizing my pamphlet. So we have a person whose sole responsibility, look, shameless plug. We have a person on our site whose sole responsibility is to get kids excited about college. And not just any college, HBCUs.
Absolutely.
So he is spending all of his time going to the schools, 9th through 12th grade, talking to them about opportunities and possibilities. He doesn't even get on campus good before the kids start hounding him. What time we meet with you? We want to go. And so if you don't know the relevance or the importance of an HBCU, and you have someone who's coming to your school weekly to sit with you, with your friends, and to talk about it, we have some kids that will go on the tour. We have others that won't. But talking about getting kids excited about not just college, but career. We have career technical educational pathways for our non-college students. And I want to celebrate them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because after learning that our students can take on apprenticeships and internships that have them leaving high school making $60,000 a year, there is no shame in going into a career, right?
Talk about it.
But he is there to have those conversations. He is there solely to work with our students about college and career. So that is something that I'm extremely proud of. So we'll be doing that in collaboration with all of the high schools
Awesome.
and at the center. We also have a beautiful parent engagement. We call it our Sankofa Parent Village. If you have not heard of Sankofa Parent Village, I'm going to need you to Google it, look us up. The Sankofa concept is that we leave no one behind.
That's it.
If you look, it's a beautiful bird who is facing forward, but whose head
That's
is
right.
turned backwards,
Yes.
right? Because if you don't know where you've been, how do you know where you're going to go, right?
Meanwhile, as we're trying to dismantle the Smithsonian
Right, right.
African American, National
Right.
African American Museum.
Right.
But that's enough. Come on,
Yes,
keep
that's
going.
another story.
Keep going. Keep going.
So the Sankofa Parent Village is a concept where we have our students from all over Long Beach coming on Saturdays to be in community with each other. Because some of our kids are at a school where they're the only. We have Sankofa Summer Academy. And the first time I met the Sankofa Academy students, they were running past me to get to summer school. I said, what are we doing in the LBC that we have kids running to summer school?
Yeah.
And the parents were like, they're so excited because there's no one at their school that looks like them. Now they have entire classrooms that is built on an African curriculum.
So important. Yes.
And our kids were learning about cultures and traditions that they're not going to learn in their classrooms.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh,
and
it's
so
beautiful.
the Sankofa Village is a concept that's deep, deep, deep in Long Beach. And the spinoff of that is we also have the community meetings for our parents, where they come once a month, and we have different people from the community coming: health, mental health, support services, college and career, scholarships, everything, financial literacy our parents need to know. We're bringing it to the community. You don't have to come to us, we'll come to you. We also have an opportunity to have a beautiful mind on our team that is working on culturally responsive curriculum. And the charge is to embed everything that's missing from our classrooms into professional development with our teachers, which includes anti-Blackness training, which includes really centering ourselves and challenging our biases. She's now working on curriculum for the N-word, because that is a pervasive issue and students are really not feeling seen and heard. And then we are looking to bring aboard a social emotional learning specialist, because we know that if the babies can't heal their hearts, it's really hard for them to attend to the academics. So having someone who's going to come aboard the team and understand the unique needs of our Black students and understand the trauma that exists in our Black communities, and being able to support not just the center, but again, the community. And then we have another wonderful woman who is passionate about our young ladies. And as I went to the schools and I was interviewing principals, I said, what are some of the ways in which we can help? They said, oh, Miss Spencer, them 5th and 8th grade girls, woo! If you could just give me somebody, anybody, everybody. And I said, we do. So she is dedicated to making sure our young ladies put their crowns on, understand their beauty, understand unity and togetherness. And what she's noticing is we can be a small number on the campus and we all in each other's faces.
Absolutely.
So how do we diffuse that? So she's going on campuses and she's meeting with the young ladies, and she's taking them from, and listen, she will say it like, oh no, we're not doing the up and down. You know what the up and down is? We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to lift each other up.
Absolutely.
We're going to elevate one another. We're going to refer to each other as queens, princesses, And so when you put all of that together, you have a beautiful team pushing out into school sites, cultivating the work that's going to happen at the center. And then again, we're also listening to the community. So if we're missing something, the community, look, they're going to let us know. They'll be there.
Right.
There's always that one parent before the school open at the door, ready to speak to the principal.
That's always,
right?
always. Ready, soon as it hit.
Yes.
Ready, soon as it hit. Norma, I'm loving this because it sounds like the center is definitely just prioritizing the voice of the community, the voice of the people, the voice of the parents, of students that just really make this ecosystem run. Now, with that being said, and I applaud that, But with that being said, we are living under a Trump administration
Yes.
that is now, trying to, right now, dismantling DEI, trying to ban the word equity, diversity, inclusion. As you guys see, there's an attack on our National Museum in Washington, D.C. And so, does that have any impact on this amazing center that you're soon opening?
Well, listen, my superintendent, my deputy superintendent, and our board are not backing down.
We need to clap for that in here. Yeah.
In our board goals, we name our Black students. Now, you talk about courageous.
Yeah.
Look, Bettina Love refers to people as co-conspirators. And the co-conspirators are the ones that don't look like you and I, but they're ready to fight with you. They're ready to fight for you. And they will use their power, their privilege to make things happen.
Yeah.
So when I tell you that my superintendent, my deputy superintendent, and my board is unapologetic about placing our Black students' voices at the center of the conversation, and not just them. I was at a professional development the other day, and somebody came over to me and said, "Can you believe somebody tried to other and center someone else?" And I said, "Oh, no, no, no.
Wow.
The focus is and will remain on our Black students." So when I asked the question, I said, "Now listen, I know I just got to Long Beach, but if this goes sideways, what are we doing?" My boss said, it's not going sideways. We're going to stand strong.
Yes.
And she said, we're not going to apologize for doing what's right for the group of students that have been at the margins for centuries, right? So then I was like, okay, well, I thought I was the only gangster on the team, but apparently.
That's it. Yeah. And so moving forward, because you and I, Norma, both know in our careers, we've seen centers start and leave and start and leave, and we see that continuously happening. What's your priority for making sure that this center is sustainable in the years to come?
Oh my goodness, so that's a great question. So just like with the team that I worked with in LA, you got to build your army. My army is the community. I have talked to so many community partners, so many community-based organizations. They are part of our family. And when you ask people to come into your space and help you be accountable, hold you accountable, they'll do it. So when you give it to the community and you say, this is our space, when you give it to the babies and tell them this is your space, they're going to hold you accountable. And this is what I love to say, and you and I both know this to be the truth. An initiative should not start and end with a person.
Whew. Say it again.
An initiative should not start nor end with a person. So when we talk about sharing the love, sharing the leadership, sharing the work, we got soldiers in the field ready to go, Kimon. Ready to go. And some of them are the little people. Fired up and ready to go. So the reason why the center is not going to go away is because it's ours. And we own it. And look, if I can't paint my office any other color than the colors that the community has established, we own that space. We own that space. So I am most happy about that. The other thing that I'm going to say is the schools are so happy that we have a space and a place to continue learning. Because some teachers want to be allies, but they don't want their friends necessarily to know that they're down. Because they have to go back and work there. But they want a safe place to come and to learn. And the last time I checked, most of the people supporting our students don't look like me, don't look like you, right? So it's important that people that want to support the work have a safe place to come and say, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to support. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to celebrate you. Thank you for being honest. And so, people say, well, is the center just for Black people? No. The center is for anybody who wants to learn about the Black people.
Say it again. Say it again.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, and so,
Yes. Yes.
and we really do, because we cannot, as a people, think that we have a monolithic voice in this work. We need our allies. We need our co-conspirators, because inevitably we need that privilege to be in front of our kids, right? When it comes down to who might get something passed, it might not be me, but somebody with a position of privilege may get it passed. So when you know who you need to keep close, when you know that the work is all of ours, and trust me, I have some principles that are woke. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
you said that W word.
yes.
You said that W word.
Look, I'll just put it like this. It was Read Across America today, and if you know, you know.
Yeah.
It used to be named after a person.
Yeah.
And so I was asked to go and read at a school. And I said to my deputy soup, I said, I thought about it, and I was wondering how Long Beach felt about, and I didn't even have to finish it. She said, oh, I wrote a memo last year. We're not doing anything with that person's name. That's out. I said, see, I knew. We're woke.
Yes.
Woke.
Yes. Yes. And I just saw some of them walk in the building, so I have to ask this question. I've been working closely with Pasadena Unified School District and the African American Parent Council, and we have an immersive storytelling academy opening in the fall of this year.
Yes.
Pan-African. And so I got it. Y'all know how, y'all see how I did that? Okay. And so tell us, because you talked about sustainability for the center, but sustaining a school, we have to have an incredible leader.
Yes.
We have to have community support.
Yes.
We have to have funding for sustainability. How do we make sure that academy fought and championed by Black people for Black folks, and like you said, anybody that want to know about us,
Right.
how do we continue to make sure that we're holding up the mantle and it stays in the community?
Well, first and foremost, I think that our students are a powerful voice. And I think bringing the students' voices into, because it's going to continue to elevate, right? You're going to continue to ask students to give input. You're going to continue, and then invite them back. When they graduate, they come back as tutors. When they go off to college, they come back for summers. They come back for winters. They come back for spring break, right? And with that, I will tell you, if you ask students to pay it forward and to give it back, you will never, ever, ever lose what you have once established as a school, because it will be a legacy. And everybody's going to want to be a part of the legacy. I was at a school, and I thought I was just going to a Black History program. And the person that I was talking to, I had interviewed her for our newsletter. And to me, I was like, this is great. She gave me a little VIP seat. But when the show was over, and it was a show, she had former students from 20 years come back leading the STEP show. She had former students coming back to lead the songs. She had former students. As a matter of fact, the whole collaboration was done with all of her former students. And so when I thought about that, I was like, how powerful is it that every year she can count on 20 to 30 students from all over the country to come back and help her with her grand finale,
Powerful.
right?
That's powerful.
Now imagine if we set that precedent with our freshmen, that this is the legacy, and that each one will come back and give back in whatever capacity. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's intellectual, maybe it's physical. But I'm telling you, the future, it lies with our young people. Yeah. And I promise you, they will tell you what's working and what's not working.
And speaking of, before I open it up to discussion, and you just said the word, I think I got a little insight on it, but I want everybody else to hear it. Norma, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want every child that I touch to know that they were seen and heard. I want every child that I touch or exponentially touch, because I've touched somebody, who will love on them in a way that they will understand that there is no limits except the ones that they put on themselves. I mean, time and time again, I told you I always have the rough ones. I always have the rough ones.
Me too.
But I loved on them.
Man.
And they loved on me
Absolutely.
back.
Yes.
And when I became a principal, do you know I had these little they were fourth grade boys when I started teaching, coming back, grown men with their children, enrolling them in my school and saying to them, Miss Spencer, don't play. and trusting me with their children.
It's the highest compliment.
It is the highest compliment.
Highest.
And when I think about what I want to leave this world with, I want to leave this world with other children who are inspired to teach, to lead, to be administrators, to open schools, to not stop, right? But we have to cultivate that. We have to make sure that we have enough. Right now, the black male is underrepresented in education.
Whew. Say it again.
The black male is underrepresented in education. But let me tell you what, when you done beat them down since kindergarten,
you start failing them in kindergarten, why do they want to be a part of this profession?
So we got to change that narrative.
Yes.
We got to start referring to them as scholars. We got to tell them how beautiful their brains are.
Yeah.
We got to stop saying that they can't. Look, in my classroom, I had space. As long as you were somewhere in the vicinity, we were good. I'm not going to confine you to a square that I know you're not going to be successful in. Look, I had little Christopher doing cartwheels in the back. I told the kids, turn around and face me. Let Christopher do what Christopher needs to do. Because when Christopher is tired, he going to sit on the carpet and he going to blend through the valve too. And he did.
Part, yeah.
Don't worry about what's going on in the room. Make sure everyone knows that they can have autonomy. And autonomy starts when our kids start with school. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, I had a principal come in my classroom like, Miss Spencer, what's going on? This is called learning. And this is called free exploration. And this is called choice. She said, but I don't know what to do with this. I said, that's okay. Look at my test scores at the end of the year. And if it's a problem, come back and talk to me.
Freedom.
Yes.
Giving kids freedom.
Yes.
Choice.
Yes.
Me and my team were just talking about that the other day. Freedom, choice. I'm going to open this up. Before I do that, though, Norma, for Q&A, but Norma, when's the grand opening? Tell everybody.
May 3rd. Yes. Saturday, May 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are so, I will definitely be in the building. I am so looking forward to being there. But I do want to open it up for Q&A. Any questions from our audience? Questions. Give us your name.
Hi, I'm Angela Johnson Peters with the Social Justice Learning Institute in Inglewood, California.
Okay.
Wow, first of all, thank you. This conversation has been fabulous. I have a couple of questions. One is your thoughts on the response of LAUSD and the BSAP lawsuit.
Right.
I'm sorry.
You all good. But you stepped right in it. She stepped right in it.
If you would.
Yes.
Yes.
So let me say that I was there and it was a complaint, which anybody can file a complaint.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can tell you I don't like your shoes and file a complaint. So it was a complaint and people are free to complain. I was disappointed in the way that it was handled because we immediately in the district decided that we needed to change a whole bunch of things, change a whole bunch of language, change a whole bunch of programming, restructuring. And with a complaint, you wait until you're told to do something. If you're not told to move, don't move, right? So, you know, I had to educate others about what a uniform complaint is, how it's processed, how long it takes to become a legal proceeding. And you're in a stay put position, which means you keep doing business as usual until you're told otherwise. And we've all had that lesson, it looks like daily on TV, when we see that stay put is being put back into order because people are
Because
making decisions.
Executive orders.
Yes.
It's not,
Yes.
but you gotta,
Yes.
people need to know
Yes.
that. You're signing
Absolutely.
away,
Absolutely.
but it's not
Yes.
law.
No. Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. And to further, so, when I got to Long Beach, that was one of the concerns. And I said to them, no, we don't have to be worried. I said, now, had we been asked, my team and I been asked, we would have had a response. And so what I said to my Long Beach family is, we are centering Black students. Centering. All are invited to learn about Black students. It is not an exclusive. It's an all-encompassing, because when our Black babies rise, we all rise, right? And so they were like, oh, we love that.
Yes,
We love it. Yes. So no, but, and I'm sure if you're following what LAUSD is doing with Black Student Achievement, you're aware that there are lots of different moving pieces that are happening. But I will say that I had the beautiful opportunity to spend this week with my LAUSD family at the CASA conference. And they didn't know this, but I made sure that I showed up in every room where they were presenting, that I was a champion and a cheerleader, because even though things are shifting and changing, the love, the admiration, the collaboration, as my mom used to say, don't one monkey stop no show,
That's
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your name, brother.
Hello, my name is Himyo. I represent a company called HECA, which stands for Humans Expressing Compassionate Actions.
Okay.
I am a direct recipient of the BSAP program.
Okay.
I'm working in the capacity of the school climate advocate.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But my question is, because I remember at our last BSAP conference when you announced your new position and taking on this new role. But I'm interested in trying to get more perspective on the bureaucracy you faced within LAUSD to roll out the BSAP program versus what you're facing at in the Long Beach School District, right? I think you spoke about it a little bit, but to hear a little bit more about the differences in being welcomed someplace versus what you had to go through trying to establish this in this very bureaucratic. Let me stay nice. Yeah. So.
So I will say, when BSAP first started, we had the support of our board, we had the support of our superintendent, and we were rolling out. What we didn't have is we didn't have buy-in from our principals. And that was a whole nother layer that we had to deal with, right? Because if you don't believe that our Black children can succeed, that's your bias, and that's what you bring to the table. So when we talk about that aspect, our team had to go in fighting, swinging, right, to get a meeting with the principal, and no shade to the principals, but the difference between Long Beach and LA is Long Beach primed the principals. They primed the community. They went through an entire equity policy development, a rollout for 3 years. So when I come skipping, the doors are open. And I'm not saying that everybody's like, oh, come on. But what I'm saying is we didn't have that same priming in LA. And then compounded by, we had a change of leadership and we had competing initiatives. And those competing initiatives encompass 60% of our students. So when one leader leaves and the other comes in, they're gonna always bring the people to support their new initiative. So what ended up happening is you ended up collapsing 2 groups, and the hierarchy was established so that there could be movement that took place without resistance. And by the resistance, I mean, when you remove the top person and you remove the second in charge, you now have the license to reconstruct what you want. But what I will say is I don't think they understood the power of the team. I don't think they understood, yes.
They shalon in the back. That's it.
I don't think they understood that when you have a family
Yes. Yes.
and a person is no longer with you, you just keep it pushing. You keep it moving. And so I think that me being told that there was no longer a space for me being told that my work was no longer needed, I had two choices. Be an angry Black female or be a beautiful leader that stepped out on faith and made sure my team never once saw me buckle. They never once saw me miss a meeting. In fact, I left vacation days on the table because I came back to be with you in community that last week because I knew I was not going to see the 400 people that I loved in that capacity ever again. And I felt committed to you, to your work, to the BSAP team
That's a
members,
leader. That's
to
a
be
leader.
there, right?
That's a leader, y'all.
But what was crazy was my team was like, you know what? This whole time it was crown on, cape tied, chest out, and you just showed up every time. And I don't think that was the plan for the powers that be, but that's how I showed up in this space. And as a result of that, my team didn't buckle. My team didn't wonder what was going to happen. My team went with the flow because that's what we have to do, but they made it theirs. And they did what they needed to do. And they're still united. So I shared, like, I am forever connected. Let one of them post something on Facebook and I'm not there and see what's going to happen. Right, Deshalon?
Yeah. That's real leadership. Real
Yes.
leadership. Real leadership.
Did I answer the question?
Yes. I mean, just to follow up on that, I remember, I think it was Dr. Love who did a presentation, and she was saying that there was going to be a time where we were going to need to step up.
And do what? What did she say?
Step up and step up for you and be there to protect you.
She said, protect your queen.
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Correct.
Yes. And they did.
Awesome.
You all did. I mean, the love. I mean, I have a 6-year-old grandson. I'm at the soccer game. Here comes a BSAP team member. Miss Spencer, I just got to tell you, I'm at the grocery store with my husband. And it's like, let me tell you about your wife. He's like, I know, I live with her. But can I tell you, in the 9 months I've been gone, 10 months I've been gone, there's not a week that doesn't go by that somebody will come up to me and thank me, love on me, and tell me how important our work is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say was because we're not past tense.
We're
current.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep it going.
Absolutely.
And my team will tell you, you have access to me. Remember what I said? I'm just down the street. I didn't say where, but y'all know. I'm just down the street. And I will pull up, I will show up, I will advocate, I will do whatever it takes to keep the initiative moving. Because it's not about a title. Take my title.
Yes.
They took my office,
Yeah.
but they didn't break my spirit, and they didn't break me. And by example, people on my team, because you know how your friends be like, man.
Yeah.
I was like, no. This is a test. The Lord is testing me, but he's already delivered me.
Yeah.
He's already ordered my next steps. I will comply.
Yeah.
Because he's the king. And let me tell you, last thing, when they offered to give me what they wanted me to have, I stood in confidence and said, no, thank you. Because another thing Dr. Love says, don't take their crumbs. Don't take their crumbs. So if you can't embrace me with all of my blackness, my brilliance, my expertise, I'm not settling for your crumbs.
Man. I mean, that just reminded me of our phone call that you and I shared.
Oh my God, yes.
Listen, when you were going through, and I immediately said, God got you.
Yes.
I said,
You did.
and not the work, but you
Yes.
are so necessary.
Yes.
and you shine your light wherever it's needed, and it never goes dim.
Yes.
And I told you that.
You did.
And so I knew when you told me this was happening in Long Beach, I was like, what did you expect, huh? Like, this is what we do.
Yes.
And so I could not have, are there any more questions? I could not think of a better person to have here with us tonight for National Women's History Month. And so when my team, we were constructing our panel for this year, I said, this month is reserved for Norma Spencer. I love who you are.
Thank you.
I love the work that you do. I love the work that you do for our people. And I love how you support me in the work that I do as well. You got a friend, a partner in crime for life, because there's not many people that you meet in this journey that have a heart for this work. Everybody do this work. Deshalon, know we talked about it when she was here, sitting here. There are people that do this work. Do this work, but don't have a heart for this work.
Yes.
She does. And y'all just give a round of applause for the Norma Spencer! Thank y'all for coming out. Listen, Norma will be here for a minute, so y'all want to have y'all hugs, private time. Just let me get a picture with my girl, and then y'all can do whatever. All right, IG Land, we out.